song, a taste of a really rich subject, which is the Enneagram. For those of you who all took the test, did you learn something interesting out of it? Did you read the descriptions? Did it give you any sort of insights into who you are and sort of how you approach the world? Complete blank stares. So does this mean that you couldn't relate to it, or you didn't know what to do with it?
I thought it was interesting.
Thank you.
It was scary how accurate it was.
And Shirai, you are a 3 with a, I'm sorry, I can't read that.
For one of them, yeah, I got like a 9 wing. One time I took it, I got no wing.
Okay, and are you a dominant 3?
Yeah.
Or
I got a 3 with my wings balanced, and then I took it again, I got a 9 wing.
Okay, that's interesting, because the 3s, so what the Enneagram is, it goes back to, ancient times, back to Plato. And it's a way of understanding, it's a personality typing system, it's a way of understanding our motivations. So I'm sure many of you have heard of Myers-Briggs. Yeah? Myers-Briggs is about how we process information. It doesn't really necessarily speak to what motivates us, what drives us, what kind of gets us up in the morning, what helps inform us in terms of how we relate to the world and how we see the world relating to us. So in the very limited amount of time that we have this evening, what I'm hoping to do is to literally just introduce you overall to the concept of the Enneagram, help you understand your type, help you appreciate that there are 8 other different types or worldviews that inform other people's attitudes, beliefs, actions, behaviors, and recognize that the system is about movement. All of these types are connected. So we're all, in many ways, we are all of these types, but we're going to talk about how it expresses at an individual level. And then we're going to have a little role play action where we get to have a negotiation with another individual, either of the same type, to see how that type may express itself differently, or even more interestingly, with a person of a different type. And I've got all kinds of little materials here that will provide you with a little cheat sheet to give you insight into other personality types. And then we're just going to play all out and have fun. So, as I mentioned, this is a model for understanding motivation. And when I mention movement, what I mean is that you have, in effect, there are almost 27 different types, because you have wings and social variants. Wings are the types that are on either side, so if you'll see me with a wing, a 3 dominant type, wing 2. Joy, do you know what type you are?
I missed that.
You missed it. Okay. So let's see. Do you pronounce your name true then? You're a 4 with a wing 5. Okay, so we're going to talk about how the influences are, how the different types influence one another. I get this question a lot. Gee, I think I was a particular type in my teens, but now I think I'm this different type. We're inborn with these types. It's like we're hardwired to be a certain way. So my brothers and I grew up in the same family. We had the same traumas. We had the same mother. We had the same father. I, as the firstborn, figured out that to get my parents' attention, the thing that I would do would be to be a straight A student, and to make sure that I was always the best. I popped out of the womb with a to-do list. I mean, this is kind of what 3s do. My other brother, on the other hand, the youngest one, is a 7, and he's what I describe as a heat-seeking, pleasure-seeking missile, because his whole thing is, the way that he avoids pain is that he gets very distracted by lots of other things, lots of possibilities, things that, he's really kind of a Renaissance guy, and he's probably more well-read on any different subject, because this is a way of distracting him from the pain that he experienced as a kid. I have to ask one question. Did anybody in this room grow up trauma or drama-free? No. Okay, So if all of you had some type of experience as a kid where you sort of literally at some level viscerally felt that you were in a survival mode, you develop this type of behavior as a way of compensating for that. So the other thing to keep in mind is that no type is better or worse than another. It's all an expression of the filter and how we take information in, how we see other people, how we perceive our own interests, and how we perceive that, that our interests are going to be best met going forward. And with that, each type has a basic fear and a basic desire. So let's take a look at the 9 types at a glance. So these are archetypal words, and the difficult thing with using words to describe one type, or one word to describe a type, is that it can have different meanings to different people. But we'll just go through the list. So we describe the 1 as the perfectionist, and in some systems are also known as the reformer. The 2 is the helper or mentor. The 3 is the achiever, performer, or producer. The 4 is the individualist. I also think of them sometimes as the artist. The 5 is the thinker or observer. The 6 is the loyal skeptic or troubleshooter. The 7 is the enthusiast, motivator. See a lot of 7s in marketing. Do we have any 7s in here?
Just you.
Marketing?
There's no other.
Yes.
Yes.
There's no other.
Okay. The 8 is the boss or the challenger. I'm sorry.
I'm an 8.
Janet, oh, you're an 8. Okay, great. So 8s want to be top dog.
Lock horns.
Yes. Oh boy, we'll have good conversations with you this evening. That's great. And then the 9, sitting on the opposite side of the 8, is the mediator and peacemaker. So the core motivations, or fear and desire for each of these types, can quite simply be boiled down to very simple concepts. So in the case of the 1, the basic fear is of being corrupt, and the desire is to achieve goodness. The 2 is about feeling unloved, and through their actions, the desire is to feel loved. For the 3, it's about being unworthy, and through whatever process, becoming to a place of feeling valued. The 4 fears being insignificant and desires very, very strongly to feel unique. The 5 is all about essentially feeling incompetent and wanting to achieve mastery. The 6 is coming from a place of fear and feeling unsupported and wanting to feel guidance and support. By the way, I can make these slides available if you prefer not to take notes.
Yeah, we'll put them on the website. Okay, sorry, I didn't mention that. Sorry.
It's all right.
Of course they'll be on the website.
The 7 is afraid of being deprived or in pain and wants to feel satiated or content. The 8 is fearful of being controlled, and their actions derive from a very strong desire to protect themselves. The 9 is afraid of being separated from the tribe and wants to be in peace and at harmony. The other interesting thing about these types is that they fall into triads, or sort of different they're emotionally connected in 3s. 8s, 9s, and 1s share a general undercurrent of anger, and they have difficulty with sort of accurate mental conception. 2s, 3s, and 4s get confused about the difference between seeming and being. I have often been described in my younger days as a human doing instead of a human being. The 5s, 6s, and 7s unconsciously anticipate life's dangers, and they're sort of always, they've got that over the horizon backscatter radar, looking out for what could possibly go wrong, and they oftentimes react fearfully and get confused about what action to take. This is the classic Enneagram chart. By the way, Ennea means 9 in Greek, and so this is why we have 9 different points on the Enneagram. And you'll see at the very top, the 9 is the mediator peacemaker. We have a number of 9s in the room here. This is often called sort of the crown of the Enneagram, and it really, the 9 is sort of almost a perfect amalgam of the other 8 types, which is oftentimes why 9s sometimes have difficulty typing themselves because they see themselves in others. It's what also makes them brilliant mediators because they can see all sides of an issue. Some of you who are 9 are nodding your heads.
That's what happened to Christine? Yeah, probably.
Yes, that would be my guess. Yeah. The other interesting aspect, and sort of the heart of this, is that the emotional triads, as I mentioned previously, kind of coalesce around 3 different emotional anchor points. So for the 8s, 9s, and 1s, it's around anger. For the 2s, 3s, and 4s, it's around shame. And for the 5s, 6s, and 7s, it's around fear or anxiety. So in the feeling triad, I found these quotes. I hope you guys don't mind. They just made me laugh. It's kind of like one of those things if you're at a party and it's an inside joke and somebody tells a joke and everyone starts laughing because they're on the inside. These may be only funny to people who really understand the Enneagram, which is why I got such a kick out of them. But if there's one quote that I could sum up to describe these types, these are the quotes that I found. But in the feeling triad, the 2s are the generous, demonstrative, people-pleasing, and possessive types. They are generous, service-oriented, super helpful. They really dislike solitude, and they dislike impersonal dealings. And the quote that I would attribute to the 2 is that some people like my advice so much they frame it on the wall without using it. So, this perfectly encapsulates it too. With the 3s, energetic, adaptable, excelling, driven, and image conscious. This is the ambitious, goal-oriented, competitive type. We have any 3s in here, right? Okay. We are all about success and recognition, and we really don't tolerate people who are inefficient or lack ambition. And the quote here is that you can't leave footprints on the sands of time if you're sitting on your butt. And who wants butt prints on the sands of time? I thought that was hilarious. Okay, maybe I'm more of a 4. The 4 is the expressive, dramatic, temperamental, and self-absorbed type. Whenever I meet somebody, in fact, I met a woman the other day who I just thought, oh, she has to be a 4. She was probably 6'2", walked in wearing 4-inch high heels, a bright red jacket, chandelier earrings. And when we did her testing, I actually found that, in fact, she was a 4. 4s are really wonderful at coming up with a very unique sort of artistic expression of self. And this is really what 4s are all about. They don't like uniformity. They don't like being part of the crowd. They like coloring outside the lines of the box. And a 4 would say, if life gives you lemons, make grape juice, and then sit back and wonder, and let everyone else wonder how you did it. So in the thinking triad, the 5s are perceptive, innovative, secretive, and detached. These are the curious, deep-thinking, eccentric types. And I think, Gerald, are you a 5?
Who's 5?
Yeah.
You're a 5 with a wing 6. So let me ask you something. How comfortable are you in party situations?
Depends, I think.
If it's really close friends?
Yeah.
If it's people you don't know?
Yeah, not so.
So if it's people you don't know, would you be the guy going into the kitchen fixing the blender that's broken maybe?
Not necessarily.
That's what my dad would do. My dad worked at a Stanford lab where he wired little mechanical synapses into monkey brains. This is really his idea of a good time. Yes, the apple fell far from that tree. 5s like to say that intelligence is like 4-wheel drive. It takes you to remote places where you can, basically get stuck. The 6s are the committed, anxious, responsible, and suspicious types. They come by.
Sorry, I missed the
But she makes noises, don't worry.
They're engaging, loyal, and likable. They are truly, kind of keeping their eyes open for any type of trouble that may exist. And they really dislike unpredictability and change. They prefer things to really just sort of be static for the entirety of life. Just ask my husband. Was he in for a surprise when he met me? Because we are so different in that way. And the great thing about 3s and 6s is that 6s modulate the 3s, right? So I'm, going off down a path, and he's like, maybe we should think about that a little bit more. You should drive me crazy, and now I'm really grateful for it. So I was walking home the other night, and a guy hammering on the roof called me a paranoid little weirdo in Morse code. This is exactly what a 6 would think. So the 7s, Depeche, would you say that spontaneous?
Little selfie there.
Little selfie. Spontaneous, versatile, talkative, and maybe a little
Absolutely.
scattered would describe you.
Let me tell
Yes.
you a little bit about me.
Enough about all of you. How about the 7?
Accomplished, upbeat, and impulsive is a good way of describing 7s. 7s really just, they hate limitations. They hate regulation. They love new possibilities and excitement. And so something that a 7 might say would be, despite the killings, Washington has one of the lowest crime rates in the nation. Totally putting spin on like the worst possible news, which is why they're great in marketing. 7s can absolutely spin gold out of straw. They're brilliant at this. 7s are also the life of the party. They're really fun people to hang with. You can always think of new fun things to do. They're the people that always get hauled into the principal's office for like the latest stupid prank. But they're great people. In the instinctive triad, for those of you who are 8s, we have a lot of self-confidence, willful and confrontational energy in the 8. These are the hard-charging, hard-driving risk-takers who really dislike indecisiveness and indirectness and really prefer strength and strategic action. Those who live by the sword get shot by those who don't. Would be something that an 8 might say. Well, it doesn't apply to all 8. It's kind of archetypal.
There's no negotiation.
No.
The thing that's really interesting about Juliet's type as an 8, and this is what's fascinating about the Enneagram, because she's a really good example of someone who is so evolved in that continuum of consciousness that she really could be almost anything. She's actually an 8 with a 9 wing, right? So that modulates, yes, quite a bit.
Does that mean she's all of the wings to 9?
No. No. It means that the 9 is her, because the 9 is counterclockwise to the 8, it's her ally point. So that's where we go as a source of strength and learning and consciousness. The 9s, I love 9s. 9s are calm, reassuring. They feel like a tranquil ocean in a crazy world. I think of a shining, calm ocean with a peace sign on it. It's like, that's what 9 energy is like. They're wonderful people to be with. They are super inclusive. So if you are ever in a meeting and you're having difficulty getting consensus, bring a 9 into it to just sort of help you with that. They are attracted to harmony and stability and will run miles away from tension and conflict. So the downside with the 9 is that very, very conflict averse and really not risk takers, and can sort of get into a state of indolence or complacency. So something that a 9 might say would be, dolphins ate tuna? Great for the dolphin. What about the tuna? The 1s, principled, purposeful, self-controlled, and perfectionistic. So the 1s are the rational, orderly type. They really dislike sloppiness and error. They prefer standards, particularly those that they can impose upon others. So ones are very much sort of one way or the highway kind of thinkers. There's a definite right way, a definite wrong way, very black and white kind of thinking. Super fair-minded. And of course, one might say that the trouble with being punctual is that there's no one there to appreciate it. Okay. Whoa. Come back.
Seems to be good. Yeah, that'll go away or it should go away. All right. It doesn't like that. It's turning up on there. Yeah. Do you want to do it manually?
Sure.
Or just give it a click to see if it doesn't like that one slide for some reason.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's showing up here, but it's not showing. Yeah, maybe it's
Can you move on from it?
Yeah. Just try. Plugging that in. Where do you need your batteries?
Oh, that's right, because it should work manually if it, you're still on computer two. Huh.
Continuous stream.
Is it running off the disk or?
No,